Hey, all you beginners out there. This is Laura Faye Glass, and I'm just here to give you a couple of helpful tips about mandrels and about bead separator. Just a real quickie video just to show you how it's done. Mandrels, there's all different kinds of sizes depending on what you would like to work with. The smallest is like a really thin wire. It comes in a 1/16 size mandrel. The next size up is the size that I like to use a lot is the 3/32 mandrel. That's this one, 3/32. And then the next one is the traditional mandrel 1/8 inch. A lot of people use those for pendants and such. I like to use the tiny one for earrings. I like to use this one for earrings, and then I kind of like to use this one for pendants, just because it's a little more stable. The next size up is going to be your 3/16 inch, and this is the one that if you're going to want to make your Pandora beads, this is the mandrel that you would most likely use for that. That's the one that I use. This is a big boy. It's really heavy, so you only want to make a few of these a day. But this one is to make a really large ring, so it's gonna give you a much nicer big ring. That one runs, oh gosh, I bet that one's it's over a 1/2 inch, so 16, 17 millimeters. You can get them in different sizes depending on how large you want your rings to go. This one is looks like a fork, but it's actually for making buttons. This is the Heather Trimlet button mandrel. And of course you just double dip those and you make your button on that. I guess we should make a whole different video on making buttons if I can ever figure out how to do it myself. This one, it's just a flat surface. It has a little knob in there, just a little point. And this one is for cabochons. So if you'd like to make some cabochons, this is a great one to make, or to use to make those. Bead release. I've tried a lot of different bead releases, and the one that I keep coming back to is the one that I buy at France, and it's just called bead separator, and it comes in different sizes. You can get a little tiny jar if you want to just try it. I just get the big jar now since I know this is the one that I like to use. A lot of times after you let your bead separator sit for a little bit, it starts getting pretty thick, and so of course you always want to have it shaken up. So always shake up your bead release, make sure your cap's on tight. I've been covered with clay before. This is just a clay substance, and kind of look at it. I know what it looks like when it's supposed to be, what thickness it's supposed to be. A little tip for you, just, when you're shaking up your nail polish or whatever, there's a little bead inside. I just throw some extra beads in there that didn't really turn out right or whatever. So when I shake up my bead release, it really helps get that mixed up nicely. You want a really smooth texture on your mandrel, because that's going to determine what the whole of your bead looks like. So if you have a sloppy mandrel, you're going to have a sloppy hole in your bead, and it's not going to make you happy, let me tell you. If your bead release starts getting real goopy and thick, like mine is right now, I just take a little bit of water and pour that in there. It's all water-based, and give it a good shake. Okay, now for the dipping. Depending on what you're going to do, you might want to dip for different depths. So like for one of these bad boys, you're just going to dip the whole thing, and then I just scrape off the excess on the jar, because you really don't need anything on the bottom of it. You just need it nicely around the side. So it's a nice good thick coat. For your cabochons, you don't want to get it on the underside of the mandrel, just on this side. So I'm going to just put it in straight, give it a little twist. And it's come out kind of uneven, so I'm going to tap it. Tap it and twirl. And now I've got a nice base on there. Kind of give it a tap and let it settle a little bit, and that'll dry nicely. Same thing with the fork. Just dip that in. You're going to try to keep all of your buttons clear down on this end of your mandrel so that they're easy to get off. But I just do the whole thing just because, I don't know. So, the earring, the thinnest wire, the 1/16 inch that we do for make a lot of earrings with, or spacer beads, I like to dip a lot of this. So I'm going to take my jar and I'm going to put it in sideways and try to get as much of that bead release as I can on there. I want a big, long surface area because I can make 12 beads across there and only use one mandrel. So, and let's see, here's your Pandora size. So your Pandora buttons aren't going to be, or your Pandora beads aren't going to be very, very big. So I'm going to tap that guy off. He looks a little thick. And then I just kind of tap it on my canter and make sure that it's all nice and even. And maybe you just want to make one bead on each mandrel. So what you're going to do is just dip it in just enough bead release to cover maybe an inch or two. And here's another one. We'll just put that one in for one bead. I have an old refrigerator ice cube tray in here that's full of rice, and that's what I use to put my mandrels in to dry, and it's worked out great. You don't have to buy fancy equipment to do this, so you want to save your money for the different fancy pieces, like all of the presses and everything. That's my favorite. So anyway, just a quick tutorial for beginning bead makers on how to make smooth mandrels, make them get ready for your great beads. So any questions, just let me know. Thanks guys, bye.